Wow, what a performance by the Giants. They mess around every once in a while and start doing things nobody thought that they would do. And it seems as if the Giants are maybe getting ready to do the same thing again. Tiki.
Well, I mean, I'm not looking Super Bowl yet. I told you last week that they could get to the NFC Championship game because I knew that they could beat Minnesota. I believe that they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And the reason that they can is because they've geared themselves up all season long to be able to execute and play their game. Think about this. The Minnesota Vikings had 8 possessions in the entire game. 8. Against the Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota had like 17 possessions. 8 possessions. And what if I said all season long? How do the Giants win? Don't make mistakes and limit the possessions of the opponent, especially teams that can score like the Vikings. They had a perfect game plan. They've been gearing themselves up to have this type of postseason success all season long. I'm not saying it's been great, but when they get into a game, they know how to play it, and they know how to win it, and they proved it against the Minnesota Vikings on the road in the wild card, and it was awesome for Giants fans to watch.
Let me tell you something right now. Now, and you hit on some of this, the game plan, as it often is with Dable and the staff, superb, okay? The adjustments, borderline superb. Jefferson crazy early, we make a little adjustment. Resilience there as it's been all season. That is kind of the story, and the big story, obviously, is that the Giants won. But the real story is that Daniel Jones was a superstar.
He was.
He wasn't good. He wasn't really good. He was awesome. He was a one-man wrecking crew. And I'll tell you something else, Teague. You know, if you just dropped on to the face of the earth yesterday, parachuted, what's this sport that they look as if they want to hurt each other? What is it? Oh, football? I don't know much about football, but let me watch these games. And then you had a little more than a rudimentary sense about the game and what it entailed. But you didn't know about records and draft status and history and narratives. And all you did was watch these games. Daniel Jones, better than Burrow. Daniel Jones, better than Josh Allen. Daniel Jones was phenomenal.
He was phenomenal. I mean, this might be
phenomenal
in the modern era, and I mean modern era. This is post-11 collective bargaining agreement when they changed how first-year players or rookie quarterbacks are treated and evaluated. Basically, you got 4 years to figure it out, get the fifth-year option, move on. In the modern era, the post-11 CBA, Daniel Jones's reclamation might be one of the greatest in the last decade because you don't have but this sense of not being able to achieve something flip so drastically like it has for Daniel Jones. He was getting run out of here a year ago. I mean, we had these conversations at the beginning of training camp. How soon until Tyrod Taylor is the starting quarterback for the New York Giants? And here we are in the wild card round. Daniel Jones is damn near perfect. 300 yards passing, 17 carries, 78 yards rushing. Everything he did was right on line with what a superstar would do in a playoff game. So you're right about that, BT. But I think it's important to have context of where he came from, which makes this so – like if you had parachuted in at the end of last year and then –
well, you would have seen Mike Lennon.
Went away, well, you know what I mean. Went away for a year and came back in and looked at this team and looked at Daniel Jones. You'd be like, who the hell is this guy?
This is what coaching does. This is what
coaching matters, man.
Oh, my, this is what leadership does. This is what conviction does. I mean, Dable's message has been unwavering. Just awesome. Giant fans, you are absolutely loving this. It's been 11 years since your last playoff win. Who knows where this goes in terms of, I opened the show saying, here they go. Get ready to do this again. And I'm not going to say that they can, and I'm certainly not going to say that they won't. What I am going to say is Saturday night in Philly is going to be straight up bonkers.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Oh,
it's going to be amazing.
God.
You know what's
Saturday night in Philly, Giants, Eagles.
Yeah, and
winner goes to the conference championship.
Right, and it's hard. Wow. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. Remember that conversation that we had last week?
You subscribe that to a little bit more than I do, but I got you.
I mean, Miami lost again to the Buffalo Bills, but it was closer than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. There's so much praise to go around in this game. It's hard to know where to start. I mean, you start with Daniel Jones because he was so superb. But it also, I mean, just sticking on the offensive side, Saquon Barkley, he only had 9 carries. He had 5 receptions, so 14 total touches.
Yeah.
And it almost feels in people's minds like he was the afterthought. But Saquon Barkley did some stuff in this game that you haven't seen him do regularly. That is, he catches a ball short of the first down. Instead of trying to juke around a guy, what does he do? He puts his shoulder down, and he goes right through him, right? Uses his physicality. Same thing, second touchdown down at the goal line. Hand it off interiorly, gets stopped, a yard or so short, just drives and uses his physicality to get into the end zone. Saquon was playing with an aggressiveness that you haven't seen in previous years from Saquon Barkley. You could tell he wanted it, and you can't discount his effect on this game. Isaiah Hodgins' effect. Isaiah Hodgins was basically a street free agent, even though he was on the Buffalo Bills team. But this is Joe Shane proving that he's smarter than every other executive in the NFL because he finds these guys that nobody's paying attention to, that nobody cares about. Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins. He pulls these guys off the street and ends up making them, or at least helping them become huge contributors. So much praise goes around, not just in the game plan that they had on Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings, but the path that got them to this point. It's easy to say, it's easy. You found these guys, but it felt intentional. Like everything that they've done has felt intentional, and you got to give them credit for it.
All right, 877-337-6666. It is a Giants party all week, and who knows? It could be a Giants party, really, really all month. We'll see where this ride takes us. It was just awesome to watch, and I keep going back to Daniel Jones. You're right. The other ancillary pieces, which at points weren't so ancillary, I get that because it's a total team win. It's a total team. That's what I think is so enjoyable about this Giants run, this Giants rebirth, this New York Football Giants renaissance, which you've been craving for, man, and seems so evasive and so elusive for so long. But watching Daniel Jones, you ever watch like a 7th? I guess the grade's almost immaterial, but younger. Maybe like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade Pop Warner football game, and the quarterback on one team is just so good that you ask him to do everything. Yeah. I'm going back to Daniel Jones because that's how good he was. Like, even with, when Mahomes, and I'm not saying he's Mahomes, but even when Mahomes does his thing and, Burrow flings it, and he goes for 400, he has a vintage game. I feel like what the Giants asked Daniel Jones to do yesterday was almost outside of the border of what NFL teams ask quarterbacks to do. There was one sequence in the game, and the announcers, they were like, I think it was Burkhardt, he said, no, it was Olsen because it was obviously the color. He said, Joe, I think he ran it like 3 times in a row or 3 out of 4 times, and Olsen was like, could you use somebody else? Like, it really was uncommon. I heard that.
Like, hand it off to the running back.
Yes, that's what he said. It was almost uncommon. The usage rate, at least in succession, that one sequence in totality, Daniel Jones was awesome. Well, and it needs to continue to be said. The Giants won, but that guy was great.
Oh, that's why they won, because he was I don't want to say he was perfect because he wasn't perfect.
He's pretty close to it.
Damn near
he was pretty close to it.
And it's interesting because you look at the quarterbacks in this game, and I heard Gio say this, and he's right.
How's our buddy Gio doing, by the way?
You
feel for more? You feel for him at all? No,
he
did call you an a-hole the other day.
It doesn't matter. We knew we were going to beat. I knew we were going to beat him. So he's got stupid fan. And I sent you and Hoff a podcast that I'm sure you didn't listen to.
No,
but it's about why we get so crazy around games that have nothing to do with us, including your fandom. But anyways, that's beside the point. I knew the Giants had a real chance to win because Minnesota Vikings defense is it's compromised. Right? They're old. Justin Jefferson might be a Hall of Famer, but he's 32 years old. Peterson might be a Hall of Famer, but he's 32 years old. And Isaiah Hodgins abused him.
Yeah, he runs some tight routes. You're right. He really does.
Abused them, right? They play a lot of man coverage, so they trust these Harrison Smith and Peterson and their other cornerback who's off the street somewhere. They trust these guys, and the Giants just took advantage of it. So I knew that the Giants had a chance. But more importantly, you're right about Daniel Jones. When it comes down to how can he outplay, how can the Giants get an advantage, it's because their quarterback, Daniel Jones, can outplay the other team's quarterback, even if the other quarterback is a better passer. Right, Kirk Cousins had a better QB rating in this game, QBR, and a rating. I mean, he was better in that regard. He stood in the pocket, took hits, threw the ball downfield, did all those things that you were supposed to. But Kirk Cousins had 1 carry for 1 yard. Daniel Jones had 17.
17
for
carries.
78. He was the leading rusher on the team,
Yep.
and a lot of them were designed QB runs.
You're right. He wasn't bailing. It was out of the huddle.
And when you do that, it screws up a defense because now all of a sudden you got to account for the 6th skilled position guy on the field, which is hard to do for a lot of defenses in the NFL. Daniel Jones is an X factor because of that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there's only one other team that you see acting like this, and it's the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have a quarterback in Josh Allen who can do the same thing. Take it over with his arm or take it over with his legs. It's very rare that you have both of those in the NFL.
Although, unlike Daniel Jones, Mr. Josh Allen's been making some bad decisions this year. He coughed it up a couple of times. Yes, and we'll get to the other stuff, obviously, throughout the show. But, man, this is a Giants show. It's a Giants week. Awesome win by the franchise. Great stuff. Let's go. 877-337-6666 is the number. Tiki and Tierney on the fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. All right, let's rack them up. Let's go. Kyle, first up, Jersey City fan, Tiki and Tierney. Go, Kyle.
Oh, guys, I'm psyched to talking to you again. I was the first caller on Friday.
Love it.
And now you're part of my good luck charm. How you guys doing today?
We're good, man. What's up, dude?
Oh, man, that was just such a hell of a game. Like I said, I was back at my favorite bar, Ed and Mary's watching. I was surrounded by great Giants fans. There was one Eagles fan there for some reason, which really pissed me off. Sorry.
We'll get him next week. You get him next week.
Yeah, exactly. So just why I want to ask you, because, I mean, that really was just such a great game in between. I mean, come on, twice the Saquon, Bellinger, Hodgins, just like Daniel on his legs. Besides having a tough time with the Vikings, their tight end, and then, and then Slayton with the one drop pass, they just looked really good. So I guess my question to you is, like, did you see anything in this game that you're like they need to improve upon that to beat the Eagles? Well,
I mean, the challenge for the Giants is their second level. I'm talking about the linebacker level. I don't want to say they're bad, but they get beat a lot, and it's not because it's just because of the way the NFL is these days, right? It's so many crossing routes. It's tight ends taking advantage of open space in the middle of the field, and if a linebacker's eyes are too much in the backfield for a second too long, and that guy is wide open, or the linebacker hangs with the crossing route and in the zone, and the guy sits behind him. That was the touchdown that the Vikings scored to their other wide, KJ Osborne. The linebacker just got lost in space. The one thing that I worry about is the Giants' second level, particularly against an Eagles team that has so many weapons coming out of the backfield. But with that being said, when it mattered, Wink went back to his age-old, I'm playing man coverage, and I'm going to force you to throw a tight throw into small windows. And I said this to Boomer because I ran into Boomer when he was in one of his breaks. I said the secret, hero of this game who won't get talked about at all is Cordell Flott. And the reason is because on the third down, before the last penultimate play for the Minnesota Vikings, on the third down, Giants had this man coverage, single high safety. They're playing a robber, so Julian Love is doubling Justin Jefferson. The same play, different iteration of it. Cordell Flott on a crossing route to KJ Osborne, sticks with him, knocks that ball out. So on the next play, the 4th and 8, the reason that Kirk Cousins didn't go to KJ Osborne again, who was open, was because he feared that Cordell Flott was going to make that play. So he started on the right side. Justin Jefferson was doubled. He had nowhere else to go other than TJ Hawkinson. Xavier McKinney made a great tackle. Game over. The only reason he went to that side is because he didn't trust the other side because of Cordell Flott.
Listen, there's a lot of ways to lose a playoff game. Missed field goal, bad call, fumble. The way the Raven. Oh God, the Ray. Jeez, I don't think I'd ever recover from that if I'm a Ravens fan.
That was just stupid.
Wow. I mean, we'll get to that later. We'll get to all. But the point about how the Vikings season ended, and I know Dex was charging down his throat. How the hell do you throw that ball 3 yards?
Well, I just told you.
No. It doesn't matter. You have to fling that somewhere.
No, but you can't.
Pass the stick and hope you get a flag.
So
there is no way you check down on 4th and 8.
The Giants are playing, and again, I'm not making an excuse for Kurt. I'm just because I would have done the same thing. You're right, but I'm just telling you where his mindset is. Kirk Cousins is a robot. This is why he's so good, but also why he has no creativity to make something special happen.
That's why he'll never win anything.
He'll never make
He'll
something.
never win.
He'll never make something special happen because he's a robot.
Yep.
And so on that third down play, the Giants ran the same coverage, right? One robber. Julian Love is doubling Justin Jefferson. Wherever he was getting doubled. So Justin Jefferson is out of the picture. Mm-hmm. Kirk Cousins knows that. He tried to throw it to KJ Osborne, who was man covered by Cordell Flott. Cordell Flott made an unbelievable play to knock it down. And so on 4th down, he says, you know what? Screw it. We got Justin Jefferson, my best wide receiver, and TJ Hawkinson on the short side of the field. I am choosing the short side of the field because I'm going to trust my stars, right? And so when the Giants ran the same coverage, one robber with Julian Love doubling Justin Jefferson, he's out of the play. Justin Jefferson cannot make a play on this throw. So the only place he can throw the football is to TJ Hawkinson because he knows he's going to get hit. So he chose the wrong side because he wanted to choose his stars.
No. I don't even want to get bogged down in the schematics. Obviously, you're right. No, you're right. I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is throw the ball in the air and just hopefully they throw a flag.
I mean,
you need
maybe.
8 yards. You can't throw it.
PT,
that's besides the point.
What did I just tell you?
Just throw it past the sticks. I would lose my mind if that was my team.
Kirk Cousins,
you can never lose that way.
A robot. He's a robot,
and he'll never win anything because of that robotic nature. No, we're in agreement there.
He's a robot.
And Teak, that's why, like, when we've talked about Kirk over the years,
I don't agree with the throw.
No, I got you.
But I know
You're
why
just
he did it.
explaining why he did it. No, totally understand that. I got you. Like, when we talk about Kirk all these years, and there's been some fairly prolific numbers on his part, but why you and I always stop short of saying that guy can win, I guess we just say it a little differently, was illuminated in that final play. There's reasons for it. I get that.
He'll make the right throw all the time.
But sometimes you got to deviate off script and make something happen, and that's not happening.
That's right.
That's why we're saying the same thing.
And this is why Daniel Jones outplayed him, because when Daniel Jones doesn't have a throw, he's like, all right, I'm going to scramble a little bit. All right, I'm gone. I'm going to go get 8 yards.
I wish Daniel Jones was my quarterback.
I know you do.
I do.
He's mine.
He's awesome. It is amazing. The transformation, not only of Jones, of the Giants, and, it needs to be said now because this is going to get lost in the weeds here. A year ago, we start here at FAN. We sit here, and we're dissecting this mess, this colossal circus that has been the Giants for a decade, right? And ownership did something they never do. They left their comfort zone, and they left the organization, did not make the easy internal elevation higher. They went outside, and they sought winners from a winning franchise, and look where they are.
Yep.